3.
Is there a way that we can fix that?
When
you latch back on?
Especially when you're so close to him. You're right there, and then we just, if you want to...
Well, I mean...
we can't interpolate, like...
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that when the player's falling, we have control. He's got like a cone where he can be kind of anywhere. So he can grab the bat over here or over here. There's not really a way for me to say like, okay, where's he at? Play the animation at this point, at this world location, based on where you grab on.
Have you involved a coder with this?
Yeah.
We don't have camera cuts. You have to see that whole thing. That epic Vader marching down, murdering 15 people, that's like 18 cuts to make it look as beautiful as it can. So we've got to be able to take that and make it in such a way that no matter where the camera is, and no matter who's controlling it, it still looks that good. And they've set a really high bar for that, and that's what we're doing, is making sure that we keep up to that bar as well.
Designers will use Legos to make levels. We make the Lego bricks. That's what a programmer does.
I spend a lot of time looking at the Star Wars films, trying to get the kind of look and feel of what Star Wars looks like. I found some references from the old camera lenses that were used in those original Star Wars films, which were Panavision, so they were anamorphic, so that all the things like the depth of field, even down to our film grain, everything gets that scaling and stretching, which gives it that kind of filmic look, really makes it just a little bit closer to the films.
Respawn wanted the Force Low ability as a foundation for their combat for the game. So we worked with them to translate that ability to make it fit within the Star Wars universe.
Cal, his main power is slowing something down. That's something we went back and forth with Lucas. Oh, he's doing this too fast. He's casting too fast. Yeah, because that's what feels good in gameplay. So we had to kind of come to this compromise where we hold the button down for 3 seconds, then he'll or slow longer, right? Somebody will be slowed longer.
Cal has to show that he's exerting himself and his ability to control the Force, to use the Force. Really straining and really being strong with his hand. And we want to make sure whenever he uses power, it's not magic. He's actually, his physical ability and his skill with the Force is allowing him to do this manifestation.
Colors and everything that you've applied in the breakup all seems correct. So that, the details there.
Your concern here is more about getting the helmet shape to fit right and then getting the color to fit.
Yeah, so he feels intimidating. If you take this straight down and you incorporate this going around, like, and you get those straight shoulders, really pinhead, I think it's cool. It's just pulling in the final edits, and we call it a day. Shake hands, high five.
I work alongside concept and the game design to flesh out the overall look and feel of the planet and the environment. When we get approval from Lucasfilm on something that I've created, I mean, it makes my day. You know, Hez or something comes in and then says like, oh, that looks really awesome, or like, that's such a great Star Wars moment. I mean, that feels really good, right? Because you're like, oh, I nailed it.
This is right here is beautiful. Sometimes it's finding ways to support different people's opinions and making sure like what they start, you make sure it goes through.
And talking through it just helps because we're all lifting Star Wars up. But by doing that, we have to support what Star Wars is as well and find those elegant solutions for, as we always say, complex Star Wars problems is what we can do by working together.
What are we going to look at today?
So we have force targeting, which got updated and is now showing a highlight. So we should talk about that. Something we're trying is, it's just an outline on these guys. It's pretty subtle.
I don't know if I want an outline around every enemy that you're engaging with the entire game. I don't know if I've felt like I've needed this. What are we doing wrong that other games don't have that? I mean, we have force powers that other games don't have, but like...
Right. My thinking right now is we should take this to UXR and see what the feedback is.
Can I play a little bit? To be honest, when I'm playing it, it's not bothering me as much because it is a really subtle effect. But if it's so subtle, is it even doing anything for us?
It seems like it could be off for 90% of the game.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. We're going to turn something on for 100% of the game that could really be off for 90% of the game. Right. I don't know if that's the...
Sig doesn't come in and dictate. It's more, he can come in and be like, okay, well, here's what I'm seeing for the game from a bigger vision than what just the story, just the art. So like, how can we make it all work? A lot of compromising, yeah.
That would trigger the cinematic the first time. And we go into this cinematic where you save the two rebels on Parsons.
Do you kill people in a cinematic? We don't do that anywhere.
Is this the one that you and Aaron were talking about a couple weeks ago when we were going through cuts?
Yeah, he said we were going to do this in gameplay, not in a real cinematic. Like, we're going to find a different way to do
We
it.
can't kill somebody in a cinematic.
Yeah.
We just want to go from enemy to enemy and feel like you're in real time taking out 5 guys in a row. But if there's a intro cutscene or some kind of like long delayed moment that breaks that pacing, then to some players that's going to be a bad reaction. But we're making a Star Wars game that's very story driven and cinematic, so that's kind of the new wrinkle.
Well, we should sync back with Aaron on this one.
Aaron and John have been working really hard to get all of the PCAP going and getting all of our scenes shot, but there's a huge task of implementing all of those in-game.
Cinematics is something that we started later than everything else. Getting a script through, Lucasfilm is just completely dialed into this. This is a Star Wars story, and it took a long time. It took a ton of effort. The team was just kind of focused on making a game. I think we all kind of miscalculated how long it was going to take to make the story. We have a mountain of cinematics that we have to get in the game. Each one is challenging.
A lot of cutscenes take place while we're doing planet hopping, while we're streaming in and out different levels, while we're loading things in the background. There's a lot of complex game logic and complex technical things that go on during these cinematics. So to get all of these at the highest fidelity that we want, the time's running out.
I know the team that's working on it is extremely dedicated. They've been on a, basically a mission, just shooting all the PCAP. I know the story's good, but it comes down to execution.
What goes into here is such heart and such soul, such work. You have to capture the reality. You have to capture the truth. You have to capture the transparency. You will be tested.
Yeah. But I'm ready for this.
I don't mean just here. Every Jedi faces the dark side. And it's very easy to fail.
One of the biggest themes in this is nobody is perfect, and maturing and trusting the Force means you have to allow mistakes and even have to allow that maybe the mistakes are okay.
You're still struggling, even after cutting yourself off from the Force. Failure is something that we tend to define ourselves by, and we tend to hold on to failure stronger than nearly any other emotion. It's what creates change within us.
You will always struggle. But that is the test. It's the choice to keep fighting that makes us who we are.
So when Seer hands him her lightsaber, it's on the one hand a functional thing because we want the hero's lightsaber to eventually have ingredients from Jaro Tapal's, his former dead master's lightsaber, and then ingredients from Seer Junda's, his new mentor's lightsaber as well. From a character perspective, Seer's warning him. She's saying, even if you succeed here on Ilum, even if you succeed tomorrow, next month, there's a challenge every day you wake up, and it's really easy to fail. And when you do fail, there could be consequences. So it's kind of a word of warning. Even though she's encouraging him to go out there and get back on the horse, find a kyber crystal, she's saying there will never not be hills and challenges. It never gets easier, you just get stronger.
Cut. So they'll give us something like this, very, very rough. We'll start timing out the edit, the action, make sure everything flows, and get it approved. And then it'll go to the actual animation team.
Tomorrow's lock. Or, yeah, I mean, really it's like however late people work tonight, it's tomorrow morning's lock. Things are always breaking, but once we lock things down, it becomes easier to track what's breaking what. So tomorrow we're gonna lock things down. People have a lot invested, so they're trying to get the things that we know are bugs that we want to get in, but also are polished, but also things individually that people want to get in to make it as good as it can be.
Bugs let you know what you need to fix to ship the game. Bugs is the friction that players will experience, and you want to reduce as much friction as possible.
From what I've heard, the build has become progressively more unstable. We locked at 4 p.m. and now the focus is just trying to get a stable build. Everyone's kind of on fire right now, so see how it goes.
Blair is the person. Okay. He is the producer tracking all of UXR.
First comes stability. So anything that actually just breaks the game from a progression standpoint, we call it 0, and it has to get fixed because the player you can't beat the level or the creature or whatever it is. Closer and closer you get to the deadline, you just start to triage things out that aren't as important to the player experience. And then I work with the QA lead and the lead level designer to be like, of these 10 things on you or on your team, which do you think is the most important?
He's taking a look at the whole list of bugs and goes in and prods people and asks them like progress.
So we're waiting Monacy to fix one more change. She's testing it.
Just like twiddling your thumb, waiting for it to be done.
Yeah, she's yeah, just essentially waiting so we can kick off the build. So we have one right now. We have one bug left.
One bug left. And that's the one, the ship?
Yep. That's it. Yeah. Down to one.
Down to one.
So I'm gonna have to.
Wait, so who's working on it?
Monacy.
Can we look from afar?
You cannot. She's a programmer. She's in the zone. Production update, yay. I actually just wanted to thank everybody. I know I've been bothering, I think, everybody here almost, except Aaron, about UXR stuff. I originally set what I thought was, I essentially set us up to fail. I put too much in the UXR build, kind of knowingly, just to see how far we could push stuff. You guys got it all in, and it's working, and it's a huge amount of game, and it sets us up for alpha amazingly. I've never been more proud to be part of a team of such amazing developers. You closed 750 bugs over 3 weeks. So thank you. I know there's lots of learnings for how we can make this process easier and better. I'm sure not everybody's super happy with me right now, but you did something really amazing. So thanks.
All I said that. Just wait to be discovered.
100% there's a secret.
Yeah.
How many players are there playing the game right now?
I think it's 35 or so.
Okay.
So.
A lot of the stuff Narrative's done is in this build, and people are playing it for the first time, so it's kind of our first wave of feedback. Watching UXR is a great way to see just how it's developing. So
right.
I'm desperate, I'm starving for that stuff, because this is what really matters, right? It's the game.
Oh, there it is.
It's good because it's a good milestone, right? Everything's culminated to this moment, so it's the kind of breather spot. So you get to kind of sit back and do it, but you can't exactly enjoy it at the same time because you know that there's more work coming from it. But also you get to feel gratified because oh, that looked great, and they had fun doing this thing that I made, so that's super gratifying as well. No matter what the results are, good or bad, you know. If it's great, then you know what's good to enhance on. If it's bad, you know what to start trimming from.
Is the very first time you open the planet map when all 3 of these planets are there?
Yes.
Yep.
That's not great.
Yeah. I mean, we decided very early on that we wanted to do multiple planets and traveling in your spaceship between planets because that would make it feel very Star Wars. That was a pretty recent change that we allow you to go to Dathomir right after Bogano. The plan used to be that you would have to go to Zepho and then you would unlock Kashyyyk and Dathomir at the same time, but opening it up earlier makes the game open up earlier, which is kind of fun to see, but it's hard, so we'll see how much people like it.
It's that classic game design thing of let the player go to Mordor right off the bat and get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
That's Dathomir. That kind of skill check.
Oh, my little video backflip. Oh,
What is happening here?
I mean, I think the greatest part of it is each individual has their task and they believe that they can get it done. They look at the schedule and they believe they can get it done, but they're skeptical. It's natural for them to not know if other people are in the same place because they're not as connected to other people's work. So they might feel hey, I'm doing everything I can to make my part good, but it can't be good if other people's parts aren't good. Then that just comes down to communication. It becomes really hard to communicate what everybody's doing all the time. Like I said, it's natural that until we've gone through this together and people see oh wow, everybody else kind of lifted their own weight, got it done, and this product is shining together, people will remember that. The game is looking kick-ass. That's it. For me, I still try to, like, if there's things that really shouldn't go in after lock, but people really want to get them in and I want to get them in, I try to work with code and production to make a case for why we should try to get these things in. Next Tuesday, we're branching, so we'll open up the tree again and everybody can start dumping all their normal work in and the game will break again. But we'll have a branched version of the game that we can really be very careful about what we're inserting in that, because we're just going to be chasing stability at that point. Branch is what we'll use for E3.
E3 for several decades now has been one of the most important moments in the calendar year for the video game industry. EA Play happens the weekend before E3 officially starts. So we kind of get ahead of all the noise and are able to show people our games and get their reactions and get that conversation going.
Gamers nowadays aren't going to make up their mind and form a definitive opinion until we show them gameplay. So this is going to be the biggest inflection point in terms of sentiment in our entire campaign. We want to show them what they want. This raw, unedited demo that's going to prove that we're delivering the goods.
Pretty much everybody I've talked to about it is like, do not show the AT-AT for the first thing that we ever show. Because we don't want to give the impression that we're, you know, some just climbing around Lara Croft game, because that's not what we are. This is a moment in our game, but most of what you're doing is going around and kicking ass with a lightsaber.
Right.
And I worry when I hear that there's, you know, like, basically the first thing that anybody's going to see is not going to represent 99% of our game.
Right.
For EA Play, we really wanted to give people what we thought they wanted. It was the first time we were going to do live gameplay.
We didn't take sections of the videos. It was like essentially me in a room for the weekend, and I played it until I nailed it, and then I played it again until I nailed it again, and we sent those two off. And there was like thumbs up on that.
This is video that would be like, feel like straight gameplay. Like, there's no one on stage playing, but it's not like there are a bunch of cuts and edits like jumping ahead or back or anything like that. It's kind of straight from meeting Saw, continuous all the way through to the Purge Trooper fight.
Yes.
Cool.
That start was made for the first thing for us to show to public. That's because it was supposed to be an EA Play as a purpose.
Just because we have to get booking for E3 stuff, are you guys 100% sure we don't want to let press have hands-on?
From the very inception of our E3 demo, the plan, what I always wanted to do, and I messaged it very clearly to the team, is that it's hands-on. But then as the realities of game making really start to take effect, being hands-on becomes a little bit riskier. And it's risky because it's got to be nearly bulletproof. It's going to be considerable greater resources and bug fixes and testing to just let anybody get their hands on the game.
As someone who's been marketing Respawn games for a while, there's so much that's hard to communicate about how controls feel that you just can't get across in, like, if I could tell you a million times, like, it feels really great to play, it feels like you forget the controller's there. Everyone we brought in to actually, like, play with this thing, even UXR, like, it's like, oh.
We're going to be planning these big E3 media events. We better be careful. And I don't want to get in a situation where we have to cancel something that we've spent a lot of money and put a lot of investment into if we're just not going to be able to do it.
I know it'll be like a late last minute call, but just I need to put that value out.
There was just no way that we could guarantee that we're going to go hands-on with this. It looked like the only time we were really going to get clarity on that would be maybe a week or two before E3.
We're just going to get a behind the closed doors room for press and judges to get hands-on, but if we don't use them, we'll just use them for interview rooms. It might be more expensive, but then it's fine. Yeah.
I could get behind that. New game, biggest IP in the world. First time we're showing gameplay. One thing this team has shown and proven through history is that they come through at the end.
So E3, we're trying to get like a finished version of the game, and we're not yet at that point. So we're trying to get a representation that feels natural. The purpose of Kashyyyk is to show the juxtaposition of the virus of the Imperial destroying all of the planet Kashyyyk and its natural beauty is trying to fight back. Right now, we're just working on optimization, trying to make sure it all runs and looks good in the demo.
Kind of in that phase of the project that we're in, optimization. Basically, people come into my office and say, hey, do you want to see something? And it's always something bad. And I go and fix it. And so we can see with this view how many triangles we're using in places. So anywhere that we start to get these really dense clusters, that's something we need to look at and think, we're spending too many triangles here, so we might want to reduce the amount of. When you get to that point for E3, we have to make sure we have all of our graphics all up and running and all looking good enough to show to the public. And then you get a little glimpse of what the game's going to look like when it comes out at the end of the year.
Today I'm making sure the climb animation looks good. There's a request coming from design that some of those moves are just too slow, and I'm speeding it up. Right now I'm looking at the jumps. They take too much time recovering from jump to actual navigation on the wall. It needs to feel right, otherwise, it's not a game, it's a movie.
I think we're going to be able to go hands-on with the whole thing, not just a fraction of the demo.
As much as we wanted to polish and make it look pretty and make it feel like it's the final game, we also needed to make sure that nothing is breaking when we hand the controller over to these press.
In regards to what's riding for this demo, everything, all the hard work that the entire team's putting into this game, if we it up, it's all for nothing. It's a meaty demo. It's not just a small section of gameplay, which was important to us. We wanted people to really see the game isn't just this small section. It's like this is like all of our main systems working, and people can project, and how that expands into a much larger game. So this impression is incredibly important. If we bomb it, it could be devastating.
Start it over.
Yep. We're trying to get one contiguous take, so it's all real. No edits, no cuts. We're just trying to do it in one take. So getting all those perfect combats in one playthrough, a little bit more challenging.
We really wanted to represent, this is the game how it is now.
Tomorrow's our big reveal day. Saturday morning, 1 hour prior, our second social teaser goes live in social. And then 9:30, we take center stage, we open EA Play.
By the way, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to EA Play.
Like on Saturday at all?
I didn't register. Start over.
I start with asking people on the team whose content I'm gonna play through, what do you want to show off? But when you start playing, it's a live game, and our AI works how our AI works for the real game. I'm trying to do a cool move, but during that, a spider jumps on me and breaks the flow. The longer the demo goes, the more risk.
That guy that's next to the door, you can sprint with him and do just like uppercut on him. Oh God, that's the kind of thing that's just a heartbreaker. There's other things that can happen that have nothing to do with the game, like you've got like a really weird itch or something like that. You're in the middle of something, it's like you gotta scratch this.
I just want to, I want to show this to the team and have them be like, oh, sick.
It's okay to just play. Like, just go in and just like, I'm playing the game. It's EA Play. We're about to unveil gameplay to the world. Just hope everybody loves it.
My hands won't falter.
Of Respawn, Vince Zampella, and the director of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Stig Asmussen. Everybody give it up for Vince and Stig, come on! Keep it going, they're making a Star Wars game. Guys, welcome to EA Play.
Yeah, this is something that Stig and I have been envisioning for years, to see it come to life and be able to show you guys 15 minutes of gameplay today. Uncut.
All right. So everybody's anxious to see what this 15 minutes is going to be. They'd like to see the game. We've gone on long enough. We're not going to drone.
Let's do it.
Vince,
well, let's roll.
Would you like to kick it off?
Let's go.
Oh! Yes! More of that.
Nice. Gonna need to get through here.
What do we think, EA Play?
I didn't get any sense that there was anything going wrong at EA Play. But I started reading all the different articles that were a little confused on what we showed.
With the EA Play gameplay reveal, there was a bit of misconception over what our game was.
The gameplay we saw at E3 underwhelmed some people who thought it looked fairly generic.
Yeah, it felt like a pretty standard linear action game, maybe even a little Uncharted-ish with lots of climbing and melee combat.
We wanted to showcase every ability we could and show off all the cool moves. In hindsight, we probably should have just put it on hard because it did make the game seem a lot easier.
We wanted to hit a slice of the game that showed off the core lightsaber elements, but in doing so, we kind of missed the opportunity to show everyone our nonlinear structure, our Metroidvania level design, our planet hopping, interactions with the crew, these big set-piece moments.
The only way you can feel how good the game is to get your hands on the controls. That's the only way.
E3 2019. I am going to be behind closed doors, giving demos and hands-on to various press people and potential E3 judges. I hope everybody just loves the authenticity we're trying to bring to Star Wars. Hopefully the time and the effort we put in this game is shown, so people respect that. That's the goal.
I was skeptical, I won't deny that, but Respawn is definitely amazing with gameplay and with story. So I mean, who even knows like what's gonna be like? I'm hooked, I'm into it.
We're having a press, like IGN, Game Informer. It's basically like 30 minutes block of time, and we're just getting press in to try out the game.
It does feel good to play, so there is a lot of depth to the combat system. I do not think the combat in this game is going to get boring anytime soon.
Once anyone gets their hands on the game, they fall in love with it.
The biggest takeaway I got from the brief hands-on experience I had was that the combat is very satisfying and challenging.
Everything has been very, very positive. You see people walk in looking pretty tired and exhausted, and they walk out with a huge smile on their face, so that's what we want to see.
The combat feels great. It's like you would expect from Respawn. It seems like there's a lot of growth in his abilities. You will get new force powers as the game goes on. I can't wait to see where it goes.
So many people have walked out of here going like, okay, I see where we're going with this.
When you actually play, the game flows exceptionally well. Though we only played for 5 minutes, I found the demo to be extremely fun. I feel like once you get your hands on it, you'll feel as I do.
Whenever I run into any of my coworkers, I've been trying to tell them like how well it's going, because they might just be reading this online thread still, and that's it.
It's been exciting to see people finally get their hands on it, get real reactions.
Don't look at me, look at that. It's so good.
It's been a wild week. Still trying to process it, and it feels really good right now.
These last 3 days I've been fully focused on E3, but tomorrow, back to work. We gotta finish the game.
This is it, the final stretch of a 4-year journey.
I'll be working on the lightsaber probably until the day that they tell me I can't work on it anymore. This project has been a little different. We've been working in harmony with all the other departments going up until the end of the project, so we've gotten in a lot earlier than normally might happen in a game pipeline, making the lightsaber feel authentic. So, it's basically a glowing tube when it's still, but when it's moving is a lot of the kind of the iconic look. So getting the right eye slice, having the right angle, not like a flag, and then having the atmospheric glow around it. Working closely with combat, obviously. The lightsaber interaction stuff, that's got a lot of our focus. It's a lightsaber game, so it has to be.
We are putting the final details, the final finesses on all the elements we can. It's all wrapping up, and it's exciting. The things that were minor months ago are now major.
Cool, yeah. So right now I'm just trying to figure out how to get this graphic design to match this image. So I did get to do a pass on the logo. He has added manual streaks and wear and tear by hand.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Of course.
when when he's holding Prof, I don't know if the force feedback can rumble harder.
We can do that. We can make the sound.
So it feels like I'm holding Prof, and now I'm holding the barge, and I'm really straining here. Yeah, sitting 5 weeks away from boxing the game up and sending it off, one word that comes to mind is tired, but also proud. You know, like really, really proud.
UI team as a whole, I mean, we're stressed, but we're excited. We have these schedules that we follow. You know, it's like, oof, that's ambitious, but we know we can do it, but oof, that's ambitious. So I see smiling nods.
Are there any bugs right now that you guys are tracking down regarding the motion model?
Joe was saying there's certain cases when you hit the corner of a wall, he can feel like he gets held up.
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time breaking this. It's good. It's great. You guys did it. Let's say stick a fork in it.
Yeah.
I mean, like at this point right now, just
let's try not to break it.
Let's try not to break it. Yeah, let's. We've been looking at this closely for. It's been under the microscope for like a year now. So, congrats.
You survived, Cal. And you're not alone. Not anymore.
We're coming up on our destination.
Biggest hopes for the game, you know, there's a lot of them. I would say that when we started this, we wanted to make, you know, this Star Wars action-adventure story game that we haven't seen in a long time. And we wanted to make the best one that we could possibly make. I really hope we do that. My biggest hopes are a lot more basic than that. I just want, you know, the whole team to have all this energy that they put into it and their love for Star Wars to be worth something, and for this to be a game that they're really proud of.